You have Ari on the one side from Minji. Last time I checked, 23 KDA. And Vex, which is, despite it, as we mentioned, didn't get a win. We saw that beautiful play against J-Team where he went in 1v4 and killed the AD carry by himself from Pretender. So
he didn't lose that game for sure. That was, Pretend. I really like Pretender's Vex. There's a couple of players here in the PCS that do it well. And now here we are once again, and they're both going for Electrocute, all that big old burst damage. But look at the difference. Pretender is on full combat summoners. No teleports here. He's got the Ignite.
Ooh. Very interesting. I didn't really expect this coming out from Pretender. He doesn't have a matchup where he has a clear push advantage here, so I expected him to play a little bit safer, but I think his mentality might be that, hey, I'm going to go find out that Jhin. If he's going to be using his current call, he actually exposes where he is, so that's a very easy Shadow Surge into the backline, and maybe that Ignite will help Pretender secure those kills.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risky move, but if it pays off big. So, speaking of risky moves, Beyond tried for a little bit of level 1 shenanigans, didn't find anybody on that top roam, and line of scrimmage here from the Frank Esports side. As we get underway, shouldn't expect too many more surprises.
Taking a look at the summoners right here, we do have cleanses coming in from both sides in the bottom lane, so it does signal that it might be a pretty quiet early game. I don't expect these two supports to really be banging heads all that much. Meantime, common move. Leon just putting some damage on Holo.
He's bullying him off his own blue buff.
Oh,
wow. Talk about confidence. Buys so much time for his opposite number. I mean, that is even drawing Kurt's attention, so there's no farm advantage gained. That's huge.
Yeah, we have seen this move a lot from Gwens, especially when they're going up against ranged top laners. What you're doing is you're basically pulling the enemy ranged top towards yourself, and that gives you a matchup, advantage matchup level 1 while you're in melee. So it's just kind of a no-brainer. We really should see teams expecting this move, especially in the blue side. And it really affects Holo and his pathing. He wasn't able to clear off blue buff. Instead, it just goes Merc Wolves into clearing down his red buff. Now, the question here is, does Beyond Gaming fall for that? Because this potentially could throw them for a loop because of the timing here. It looks like Wako will do his due diligence, though.
Yeah, that's important. This is a team that definitely understands their fundamentals, even if they have occasionally struggled to put the more cohesive plays together at top of the board. But they've been able to do it consistently against the weaker teams. Now, Pretender in a bit of danger here as Husha walks up and tags him. Doesn't find the kill, though, and one tower shot, I believe, or excuse me, just a little follow-up damage. Pretender is tanked, and that'll be the end of that gank.
Really nicely done played here by Pretender. Drags the jungle in for a tower shot, reveals him on the map, and the fear timing onto Ninja was perfect. That's usually the most difficult thing about the Vex, is that you have to keep those fears in hand when those ganks are coming. It's a very long cooldown early on. He gets it with the Q down. He reads Minji like a book as he just walks up there, so he defends everything quite nicely. And as you can see, I think Holo, has survived from his deficit. He has a gank path, not really a gank path, but a clear path towards the top lane again. Liang does spot Holo out and is going to drop a ward in the meantime to prevent that.
They're going to have eyes on that blue the entire time. Pretender under fire here in the mid lane. Going to be forced back. Liang finds Kurt in the brush, just trims a little bit off the top, but Kurt so far, I mean, his job's kind of to survive, right? Technically, it's the counter matchup, but again, the nameplate diff is definitely a big one in this, and I think if Kurt can come out of this laning phase unscathed, he can be pretty happy.
All right, we're going to have a big trade down here, and Holo just one-shots that.
Gets the smite down, but he might pay for it. Ooh, has to flash the charm, and Pretender was a little bit late to follow up, so advantage Beyond once again, and now it's actually Kurt forcing Liang away for a sec.
It's a very dicey move to actually just use your E in front of the enemy jungler, like Holo just did right there. But all in all,
he's gonna get rebuffed.
That's true, but I don't think blue buff is that detrimental to him. It's just I actually feel like that trade does give him a window against Minji, as long as he doesn't hit level 6 too soon, and Kurt gets a good trade on Leon.
Yeah, Kurt actually has a level advantage right now on the Gwen, so we are starting to see why Frank had a little bit more confidence in this matchup. Ooh, Pretender. He is falling behind right now. Minji is giving him a roughie.
Yeah, it's very difficult to outplay this lane, especially when you're going up against someone that has been into your materializer early on. It just gives the side of Ahri just incredible shoving potential here. And with the top side jungle completely scouted out, I feel like Beyond Gaming will transition into sort of a top side 3v3 skirmish. I think they definitely have the lead in that terms, in that sort of game plan, and it could really easily chain into a Herald. So I think that's where most likely we're going to see the next round of contact coming from.
You're right. I think right now we are looking at like some disadvantages of opting into the full Ignite build here for Pretender. He misses pretty much an entire wave off the fact that he can't teleport. So, gonna be a little tough as he's still sitting on level 5. And here's Kino and Husha. And Rebirth. Oh boy. Party in the mid lane, and it's over before it started.
Yeah, even with the fear, he's not able to get out of position. Kino, with such a good patience right there, is able to force the flash without even venturing much outside the brush. So I'm really surprised by him getting that sort of range on the Leona. He definitely has mastered this champion quite well. His most played career-wise, definitely going to this champion. Meanwhile, Husha is going to pay Kurt a visit right here. Liang is level 6 with Ghost, so this could be very dangerous.
Yeah, a little stop there. Ooh, the Meganar, though. Liang going to be taken very low. Does have Ghost to try and speed away if he needed it, but maybe this is going to be part of the act if Husha wants to come up to the top. Does not have Dragon's Rage kick just yet. And it's just going to settle for the back. But Kurt, honestly, having the lane of his life, I feel like.
Yeah. He's up by 1 CS. I feel like that move by Husha was just to ensure Liang would get a comfortable TP. You have the Leeching Leer and straight back to lane. Meanwhile, not advisable for Frank Esports right here. Ahri does have wave control, and she is level 6, so I wouldn't recommend this from Frank. Very risky move. I think they're just trying to drop wards down. Double pinks into the bottom side. In the meantime, Beyond Gaming are starting to look for those invades in the top side. They know the jungle camps are up, and Ahri is off the map and in position. So, could be very dangerous for Frank Esports. Let's see how they approach their top side.
Minji is definitely a threat at the moment. You have to respect the fact that he could be just about anywhere, anytime. Although he is looking to head back into his own lane. A lot of wards from Beyond Gaming to really cover this river. However, there is a bit of a flip down at the bottom, where Frank have a number of their own. We'll have to see if that pays off for them in this one. And bot lane has been a little quieter, as expected. Neither jungler really making too many plays towards that lane, as these teams are wont to do.
I'm very interested about the item build coming here from Waka. We don't usually see this. Sure, there has been a lot of just Swifty boots coming out from the Jhin, as you don't get much from Berserkers. But it's just to see the armor boots coming out is definitely still something new. This is a very strong signal that I'm just going to win lane because you can't trade against me. There's nothing you can do about that. It's still kind of a rare one, and makes him significantly weaker in team fights. I feel like Wako's read is just like, well, if Shadow Surge finds me, I'm kind of dead either way, so I might as well win lane.
Yeah, hey, try to stay alive as well you can. I mean, that's going to be a little tough. A lot of targets were thrown his way in that bot side, and Frank definitely wanted to give themselves an advantage, so if he can turn that around, that feels pretty good. Frank will be able to secure this first dragon, though. Hex Tech Drake, picked up by Holo and Rebirth. A little bit late on it, but it's really not a whole lot of chance for Husha to come in and try and contest. Should be able to get out pretty safely, unless Holo delivers himself here, and he does. That is a little weird, but here comes the Vex. Maybe it was all a trap, as Minji gets first blood, but gets turned around immediately after that. Pretender finding a follow-up, looking for 2. Not going to be able to get it as Husha tags his way out to safety, but a nice 1-2 punch there.
Yeah, very interesting play coming in, and Wako, they're getting some 2v2 action in.
Yeah, Rebirth soaks most of it, though, so nothing too much trouble. That is one thing a Braum can do for you. Big old unbreakable shield up in the front. A while ago, I learned just how unbreakable it was, Clement. I remember I saw a really interesting interaction a few years back in the LEC. We'll talk about it in a minute, because it does feel like this was premeditated. They tanked it. I thought maybe Holo would get out of harm's way. Minji still gets first blood, but, I mean, Pretender, that feels good to get a kill back on the board.
That's absolutely huge for Pretender right here. He takes back control away. He was pushed behind this entire time in the laning phase, so getting some reprieve right there. And we just saw the way that Holo played that. I think it was actually pretty smart. He knew that he wasn't going to get completely tanked out, and he was able to survive the execute from Husha just because he gets extra HP when he pulls out that Stormbringer. So just using a little bit of mechanics right there. Also the stun onto Minji to guarantee the Shadow Surge was quite nicely played. It looked like a really bad play, you know, poking your face in at half HP against most likely the enemy jungler. But I gotta give props to it, and it was actually pretty well calculated.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out. I think they would have liked to have gotten the first blood for themselves, but all in all,
True.
pretty good for Frank. And they keep the gold game relatively close. It's only a 1,000 deficit. But, you know, really quick, I want to go back to my story time because I got y'all right up about it. Yeah, I learned that Braum's shield can stop an Emperor's Divide. At least, like, the one soldier.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if it's been changed, but in the coding, specifically, it will actually stop the full push if it intercepts with the shield. One of the soldiers will not be even. And I looked it up, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I think one of the devs said, yeah, this is an intended thing, because it's literally supposed to be unbreakable. And I'm like, that's so cool.
But it doesn't stop crowd control, though, so that just feels kind of spaghetti-ish to me.
You know, potato.
It's fine. Fun interactions are definitely good. Kurt might be in trouble.
And he was winning his lane. Oh no, Husha gonna zone him out, flash kick, and good night, sweet prince.
Yeah, and this is how Beyond Gaming likes to play. They like to open up those long side lanes, even when there is no hull breaker here. But Frank Gaming, they do have a countermeasure, as we have Pretender with Shadow Surge going to the bot side.
Yeah, we do, but Kino, oh my goodness, they flash right on top of him, and they're going to try and burst him down before he can even get the combo off. They pull it off for one, but can they get any more? Hollow and Rebirth and Eminem running for the hills as the curtain call is open. Rebirth soaks up as many hits as he can. Oh man, I don't think they were ready for that. Meanwhile, Shelly's charging down top lane. Frank, we're not prepared.
Ooh, that was a very dire situation there. And Beyond Gaming just read what Frank Esports were going to do. It was like an open book. They had a ward right next to their blue buff, so they saw the enclosure basically coming in. They knew there was a trap 4v2 bot lane. Husha doesn't have Dragon Rage or Flasher. He could be in danger.
Kurt wants revenge. Kurt wants revenge. He's the kickback. He's not going to get it. Oh, man, that feels good when you can get that back right away.
There was no wards on Husha anymore, no Dragon's Rage, no Flash, so yeah, it was just easy hunting from Kurt, chases him down.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Frank are fighting. They got teeth, they got tenacity, and I think despite Beyond getting good reads on the map, we see signs of why we were so hype on this squad.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like Frank Esports are in a position to go into a fairly equal team fight. Right now, we have Beyond Gaming with about a 3,000 gold lead, almost a 3,000 gold lead, but I still don't think that they are super confident in going into the 5v5s. They probably still want Leon to be isolated in this lane a little bit more for him to get a lead here. And Kurt just to be able to run away with those boots too.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how this has been a counter matchup and we kind of doubted it would be as effective as it is. There's obviously still plenty of time in the game for that to be proved one way or the other. But Kurt is having a very good lane up against the likes of Leon. And he even got a kill back on the board after getting some unwanted attention from Husha.
Yeah, as the melee in this matchup, you definitely want to wait for level 11. That's a huge power spike to chase down. And you're also looking for Cosmic Drive to keep up the movement speed for that kill to happen there. So right now, it's still going to look pretty even. Don't be fooled. This is still massively in Liang's advantage in terms of the gold. Oh, but he has to go in here.
Oh, needlework spent. Kurt, he's got his Narbar building, and he's got no flash. That's going to be the hop, and he's going to keep following. We've seen Kurt do it once. Meganar building. Liang trying to zoom to safety. Oh, he does dodge the chimney. Oh, that might have been the difference between life and death there, Clement.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Leon was actually going in on that one. In terms of the damage, he just doesn't pack much kill threat. And ranged champions can always poke you out like that in an extended trade. So Frank Esports are going to use this in the meantime to get a Drake, but can they get out?
Kino, he's the one who's face-checking into Frank, and now Kino goes into stasis, dodges at the Stormbringer, but he gets bursted down all the same, and the rest of Beyond come to the party way too late. A charm does land on Kurt, but not nearly enough. That's going to be turned into a push here, and Frank Esports, all of a sudden, they're the ones in the driver's seat.
And they're looking to get this tower down, but Minji, Everfrost on 2.
Oh, that's massive right now. Husha going to be on the front, getting the kickback. Kurt didn't quite get deleted, but the curtain call may be enough. Eminem soaks one, Holo another. Kurt trying to limp to safety. Meganar does proc once again. Oh, if they all get out scot-free, I do not believe it. Frank got away with murder.
Oh, that was not supposed to happen right there. At the initial try, I feel like Kino went way too far forward. He should have just walked down the lane in order to cut people off, rather than, face check into the brush. Probably wasn't the correct angle to go right there. Beyond Gaming, you could see that they expended the TP first, so they definitely knew that they were going in for the chase. They knew that they wanted the kills, they wanted to find a trap right there, but the coordination not really there. They lose one member first, and Frank Esports are able to walk out of all that, despite the great Everfrost from Minji.
And that's kind of what we've been saying about Beyond Gaming, where their struggles have been. Some of these coordinated team fights just haven't looked as crisp as other teams in the top half of the bracket. I think we saw a little bit of that weakness from CFO last week, but not nearly to the same degree. And honestly, I think that's the biggest reason Beyond are sitting at 7-5 and not any higher on the standings.
It's pretty crazy to think that Beyond Gaming were just kind of the top 2 teams coming into this split, and we thought that maybe Waka would be able to cover up for the absence of Dago. Of course, he's now playing on BLG. But from this split, what we've seen is Minji is still a ways off from Moan. I feel like Moan had a much more forgiving champion pool. If it was required of him, he could still go on the mages. He had the Yasuo and Yone games, while Minji is much more limited. So I feel like Beyond Gaming has, they're not really a tempo team, but they have to accommodate for Minji, which has really caused a lot of troubles and disruptions, I think, in their overall game plan. They're still very slow in getting things going. I think Liang, now that he's a level 11 with a lot more kill threat, could start to impact this lane a bit more.
Yeah, Riftmaker going to help him out a little bit too here. Now Beyond are actually going to try to up the tempo themselves as they push on the mid, but Rebirth here has looked pretty solid on this Braum. Obviously his ultimate doesn't land, but he's been able to do a good job zoning off Beyond Gaming members. And I can see why Frank opted for this pick. It really gives them a lot of ability to soak some of the damage threat, whether it is coming from Waka or Minji, or even, Husha. He can't quite get a good angle on. We haven't really seen any of this crazy insects. He's just had ins on the jungle a few times and had an easy wraparound.
Yeah, I think mainly their composition is built to counter the engage from Minji. Ahri is a very mobile champion, but if there's a flash and click stun from Holo, if you get tagged by Winter's Bite coming in from Rebirth, they can kill you out of nowhere. So it's very difficult for Minji to go all in, and we've seen this in multiple team fights where he's just trying to play skirt around the edges rather than going into the backline. A lot of times what Ahris will do is go into the backline, get a kill, and get out, because you get those extra resets. That's the main way you want to play it, especially if you get fed. But in this team fight, he does have to play far more careful than the usual support picks that we've seen so far.
That's true. So here we sit, 18.5 minutes on the clock, 3-3 in kills, even split. Frank are down in gold due to tower and CS differential, but they do have 2 dragons. Worth noting, they do have a Drake stack. It is going to be Ocean Rift this game around, which means you got a few more brushes to play with than usual. But Frank definitely have a decent tempo. We talked about how this is a pretty decent team for team fighting, and they should be pretty happy with how they got out of the laning phase, but let's see if things shift up a little bit. Another dragon going to spawn in less than a minute. And would be able to try and catch that one. Pretender is the one sent to the side lane. Crucially, though, no teleport, so the response would be a bit slower if Beyond forced the issue.
I feel like this is Beyond Gaming. They have to keep map control at all times. If you look at their composition, there are no real tanks coming in here. So you're going up against a team with a lot of hard single target crowd control and no real tanks. You have to be the ones to find the first foot, get the first foot in, as they're trying to do
tanks.
Right now.
They do find the engage, but look at the counter right now. Kino going to get rooted up for days. Kurt chunked on the back line, going to get dove in by Husha, but will it be enough for them to turn the fight? They managed to take out the jungle on the opposite side, but they themselves do finally lose Rebirth, and Beyond get a 2-for-1 deal. Will that be enough to keep the push going? Curtain call open. Pretender forced to flash out of the Ahri charm. That will be enough to take tower. Should be enough to give up dragon as well.
Really nicely played here by Beyond Gaming. I feel like the most critical piece was just the harass coming from Husha. He pretty much solo killed Kurt in Mininar from on the side. Honestly, I feel like if Husha didn't do that, it was a very easy engage. You could see that the battle was already happening. Beyond Gaming were locked in position. That would have been an easy Meganar, but because Husha just took out the main teamfight crowd control threat, none of that really happened, and Beyond Gamer were even able to get the timing window for Gwen to come into the fight and do the chase down. So we're going to watch this again. If I'm Frank Esports, I'm definitely willing to engage on this. My front line is far tankier than the opponent. Unfortunately, they don't find Wako. Wako able to flash out. And watch Kurt here. He doesn't TP, but he walks right in front of Husha and just gets killed before even going into Meganar, which I think hands Beyond Gaming the winning hand in this trade.
Yeah, I agree. I think the positioning, the targeting, the priority there was really good from Husha. He knew what he had to do, and he's going to have limited windows like this to make it count. So crucially, they win that fight. They get a push down mid, get extra gold to open up more of the map. But they also cut the Drake stack a little bit. Pretender. He was looking for an opening. Dangerous game that Wako was playing there, being up on the front. But now they got some confidence to play with. Kino, Hex flashing over. I think he might have been spotted on that ward, but it doesn't look like it.
And most critically, we have seen Leon just use these TPs in, so he was farming beforehand, and he has developed a very sizable CS lead at this point, about 50 CS. Husha should be able to get away from this one. So we could be seeing the side lanes change quite significantly, and that just means Beyond Gaming will have more flanking opportunities against Frank if they walk out towards River.
You can see Frank are trying to stymie wherever Beyond's angles are going to be, but they're losing control of their own jungle here. That blue buff has kind of been owned by Beyond most of the game, starting from that level 1 play by Leon.
Finding a nice double pink ward. Those are always the highlight of my day as a support. It's just like, I get so much gold difference off of that one. That's just a 200 gold difference, just clearing that brush alone. So
feels good,
feels
man.
Nice.
But I think some of the things going for Frank right now are the fact that the kills that they do have. 2 of them are on the Aphelios, 1 of them is on the Vex. They've got gold under the members that really need it for the most part, but it's still a bit of a deficit to play from, right? You see the gold game kind of starting to slip away from them a bit here. It's about a 4,000 and change gold lead. Eminem does end up picking up another item off that little bit of edge that he has. That is, of course, going to be Bloodthirster. We'll see if he's able to do a little bit more with that. Just trying to stay alive a little bit further, you have to think.
Honestly, even with Frank Esports at a deficit, I feel like if Shadow Surge just lands on someone other than Leona, they should be able to win this team fight quite convincingly. Beyond Gaming, a lot of their stats come from mobility, and they're going up against Gravitum, they're going up against point-and-click crowd control, and a fear that can't be dodged. So
yeah, that's true.
I could easily see Frank Esports just wiping a team fight. All they have to do is just hold on to this gold disadvantage and not do what Kurt is doing, which is putting himself in massive amounts of danger.
Yeah, that Narbar still has a little bit of time. He's going to actually use his, but Liang in the mist. Gwen is immune, and the Scissors beat Rock this time around, but Kurt does not go down, so he's able to stand tough for the time being.
We have seen a lot of Beyond Gaming games that just go to the last team fight with Beyond Gaming just losing out of nowhere, especially against the DCG game. That's exactly what happened.
Right.
And to be honest, I don't feel like Beyond Gaming has been able to find that many picks this game whatsoever. So it is a worrying trend. They are winning just off of insane team fight execution. I don't even feel like they should have won the last team fight, but they did. But I don't think you can rely on just luck throughout all of this one. And I still, in my view, it's still up to Beyond Gaming to push this lead even further. They're not out of the clear.
Well, they are trying to side lane it up, kind of a favored strategy here for them with the 4-1, but you now see a full team roam down bot, and I wonder if the plan is to just try and pick Kurt off. He has to know this is coming, and he is going to beat a hasty retreat down away from the tower. And let's see what the response is from Frank. For a second, it looked like they were beelining to the Baron, but that plan got abandoned pretty quickly. This will be a tower for Beyond down bottom. This is a full opening of the map, including the inner that had been taken out earlier down bottom, or down up top, maybe.
Exactly what they need to do. They're putting a lot of vision control onto the Drake area. We still have 30 seconds before that comes up, and Frank Esports are going to have to fight for every inch to get into their own jungle here. as well as Liang just resetting the Mega Gnar. That's also very important in these situations. You want to make sure that he's going to have to clear the wave and doesn't have a good way to charge that Mega Gnar bar up. However, Frank Esports actually just waltz through into the mid lane. They don't get contested at the jungle at all.
They've got the fear off onto Kino. He burns his flash. The chase was on, but that was a good stiff arm there from Beyond, and a pretty heavy investment, but no summoners critically. That opens up on the Dragon. The question is, can they afford to just take this and bait into a 5v5? Oh, they want to catch Wako out, and whoa, the burst is huge! He flashes, but it doesn't matter, and now they find the angle in. This is what you were talking about, and the Goomba stomps continue. 2 quick kills picked up by Pretender, and Husha is way too late to the party. Meanwhile, the fight's happening on multiple fronts. The Gnar might just go down here as Kurt is running out of Gnar bar, but it's a consolation prize for Beyond Gaming, as look at where Frank are heading, Clement, straight to the Baron.
This is a very slow Baron take, and we do have Leon plus Minji with TP up and about to come in here. This is looking super dicey for Frank.
Oh, it's double TP, but they bait Liang in! Ooh. It was a turn all along! And even in the mist, the Gwen can't stay immune forever. Going into the stasis, that's going to buy enough time to reset. Shut down, massive gold infusion, I should say, into the pocket of Pretender. Eminem flashes for the last hit, and now it's Baron for real. The contest is not going to happen with Husha on cooldown. Or if it does, they might just try and peel him off. Frank Esports with a decisive turn and burn.
Leon played that way too cavalier. He thought that Gwen is immune, was gonna save him, but Rebirth just knocked him up in the mist, and everybody walked in just to kill him. So it was, I like the idea there, but it was probably not executed as safely as it need be. Actually, Frank Esports were very, very slow on taking that Baron, but we're gonna watch this play start again from Pretender. Wako actually kind of psychs himself out and has to flash to his death right there. Overall, this play was just kind of weird for me. I don't like Beyond Gaming's setup. They had full vision control around the red area of the map, but they didn't utilize it whatsoever. So Frank Esports able to waltz up the mid lane. We saw the kill here going by Liang. This is, again, a little bit questionable from Kurt. When your team's winning big in the mid lane, you definitely don't need to engage this one. And then we watch the play here. Rebirth, very smart idea to just wait into this brush. He knows the likely angles teleports are going to come in. And just watch this. Leon's like, I am immune. Doesn't even get the W up. I thought he would be able to get it. Doesn't find it before he's just completely taken out of the fight.
Yeah, they don't do any follow-up damage. Minji is pretty much zoned off here by himself. He can't get the charm landed, and Husha just evaporates. So now with the Baron empowered push, sure, Beyond get, a consolation dragon, but it really doesn't matter. Holo tanks up the charm. Pretender, he doesn't end up taking the Shadow Surge in, but Eminem cleans up Kino with a little help from his mid laner. However, here's the counter. That's a big shutdown for Liang. Holo kind of fights it there in the end. Eminem and Kurt are trying to find an answer on the back, but that could be trouble. As the curtain call goes through, they're going to just move out of harm's way. But the root, the charm, all the CC is enough. Eminem going to try and turn something, but they've kind of just handshake themselves to death. Eminem gets one. But that's going to be it. A weird series of events there for Frank. Off the Baron push is an ace.
That's all 5 Baron buffs just completely gone on the side of Frank Esports. And again, this was a 4v5 situation. Kurt did not join the fight until far later than needed be. And we saw Liang already choking off the areas from the flank right there. So just a bit of miscommunication. And one thing, we have said about Frank Esports is they don't really understand split pushing very well with the rest of the team. I think that's kind of an unfortunate example right there. We're going to watch this again. Kino does a very risky engage early on, so he dies right off the bat. But watch where Kurt is going. When the fight starts, he's still very far from the action. But in the meantime, Liang is already front and center in the pile of Frank members. So even when they get Kino first, they still lose the main engagement and gets chased down one by one. I just feel like Kurt was dancing for way too long in that bottom lane. He just needed to be decisive and move towards the rest of the team in order for this to work.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Eminem for at least getting a shutdown onto the Ahri. That's gold because he knew he was dead either way. But, after that hard-earned Baron to lose it as fast as that, only picking up the mid lane tower, that's a little bit rough, and I think we're honestly seeing both of these teams' weaknesses on display in this game. So gold starts to swing once again back in the favor of Beyond. Rebirth, forced to flash away. That's a feels bad, man.
Really good footsies from Rebirth as well, just using the jump at an angle to dodge out on the captivating audience as well. So, no, I've been liking Rebirth mechanics so far. Like, this is definitely one of our most exciting rookies that we've seen in the split. He's played very few games, but in the games that he has played, he's been nothing but excellent. So, we're going to continue to watch this one.
I think he might be the guy. We'll have to see how this one keeps on going, but his Braum performance definitely good. A little caught out of position there, but gets out scot-free. With a flash. Ooh, Minji! He got tagged with the present. And that stops the back for the time being. Let's see what Frank do with this. A lot of pings heading up top. There is a lot of standing gold on the map, worth keeping in mind, as the gold lead had been cut down to only about 2,500. Ooh, Kurt. Oh my goodness! He just blind checks that one with the boomerang and stops the Husha back.
It still gives a lot of gold over to Liang. Trading your inner tower for outer tower, definitely still in favor of Beyond Gaming. And right now we're seeing what what's happening on the map is, if Frank stay together as 5, there should be no way they lose a team fight. On the flip side for Beyond Gaming, they have to play around Liang. Liang is their most fed member at this point, and how they do around him or how they defend him is going to be a big question.
Okay, Liang getting cut off at the pass by Kurt here, but that is a lot of needles flying. If he gets away from this, oh my word. He baits out the entire team of Frank Esports, and he's fine.
That's absolutely huge, because Beyond Gaming get free map control on the top side. If they want to, they can just waltz up top, but they're going for a pick.
Yeah, they are looking for Rebirth and Holo right now. That is going to be the Glacial Fissure spent just to get them off, and that's a pretty key ultimate burn for a 20-second dragon fight coming up.
The heroics from Liang, and now he's going up towards Kurt once more. He even gets the TP off the Gnar, which is absolutely massive.
Oh gosh, the charm. Holo already taken down to half his
Wako?
hit points, and the turn onto Wako. He's trying to walk it out, and he's burning, gone. But here comes the rest of the fight. Holo going to use the last of his health bar to tank through as Minji gets the kill credit. Kurt trying to keep the Gwen occupied on the side, but with so many of these Beyond Gaming members collapsed, it's gonna be the big Goomba Stomp squad coming through. Big roots coming out of Eminem. Husha tries to be the hero, takes down Rebirth. Kurt with a fancy flash results in the ace for Frank Esports.
It's amazing stuff coming out from Beyond Gaming and Frank Esports. Honestly, Frank Esports, that's just the raw strength of their team fighting composition. They can kill Wako in the blink of an eye, and really their composition is so well set up against anti-mobility. So even with losing Holo essentially out of the fight, right at the get-go, it doesn't even matter. They still roll through Beyond Gaming, and we could see in that fight it was very difficult for Minji to put any damage past the Unbreakable. Rebirth just standing on the front, doesn't have his ultimate, doesn't even matter, is able to just completely decimate the enemy team. Again, Wako should be a lot more careful with his positioning. That was a little bit inexcusable right there, and you can tell Liang here doesn't have his ultimate, so that's a huge amount of power not present for them. Rebirth just standing in the front, making sure Liang is isolated in the back line, and they just chase down the rest.
Meanwhile, Pretender just continues to get fed. I love this as well coming out from Eminem. And Husha, I mean, okay, sure, he's going to go in and kill Rebirth, but it's the same consolation prize that we saw earlier from Eminem in the jungle. So now the kill score flips. Frank Esports in the lead. What a bloody game this has been. And the gold is just bang on even, as if it meant anything at this point in the game. But critically, 2 fed carries here. You've got the Aphelios and the Vex looking huge. This is going to be tough for Beyond Gaming in a straight-up 5v5. And Frank know it. They're going to throw their weight around here in the mid lane.
I wonder what the defensive item is going to be coming out from Wako. We definitely need something like at least a GA, or even if he wants to, he could go for a
stopwatch at least, right?
Yeah, he's so vulnerable right now.
Okay, that is Rebirth getting caught. I mean, I wanted to say that was bait, but they didn't really find a good counter engage there, so I guess advantage Beyond for the time being.
Really good cutoff from Beyond, just coming in with the Gwen is immune, is able to ward off the rest of Frank.
A good cutoff. It's one of those
I got
days,
your drift. I got your drift.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Liang has had a really good game, right? The issue is this is just such a hard 5v5 for Beyond Gaming, and even if it weren't, that is a little bit of where they've struggled this split right now. So we'll see if things improve a bit for them going forward. But I think Frank have done a good job of not only neutralizing Wako in a lot of these fights, but but holding Leon at bay too. I mean, Kurt's job is to basically just stiff arm him and Meganar until the team can finish off the rest of the squad, and they've been able to execute on it.
I do want to point out the bottom left side of the screen right now. We do have a death cap complete and 572 AP
10,
on Pretender.
10 stack Darkseal. Build a Medjai's. Do it. He really should. His Vex is beastly, man.
Like, Beyond Gaming are playing so risky like that. If I'm Pretender, I'm willing to just go all in with Beyond Gaming in that position.
I mean, he might as well, right? He's also got Zhonya's if he really needs to. Like, his team backs him up. I think this is the strength of Frank Esports, is they do make the calls together when they are together. The issue is, getting together sometimes is a little bit rough. They can't afford to split off as much, especially with only one teleport on the team. But at this point, they demand a lot of attention, and if Beyond split, that could be another Baron take.
True. I want to see what the TP timer is looking like for Kurt right here. The most important thing, I think the best way for Beyond Gaming to come back into this one is to split push Leon and then fold in for a 5v4. Kurt does have his TP, but is choosing to group together here. I think Beyond Gaming, if they want to play this game out, they have to be willing to sort of chance a 4-man defensive Baron. They have to keep Leon pushing in. I don't think their current play here, like, if you're standing as 5-man, if I'm Frank, I'm still willing to engage on you. It doesn't even matter for me. So with Leon with DPI, I really think they should be trying to split.
Oh,
damn.
Yeah, Pretender's not going to go in when his team's backed, but still, it does so much damage. I think the Beyond Gaming were kind of playing with the trump card there because they had a ward that was unspotted by Frank just upriver of Baron, so they were not at all baited out by the head fake. So
good catch,
Frank Esports. I still don't think they've noticed this. Leon's with the team, though.
They don't see it just yet.
Yeah.
That's even more reason for Leon not to be with the team, though.
That's true.
Despite...
I mean, that word's not going to last forever, but they still haven't seen it, and now they start Baron.
Okay.
All
See
right.
if Shadow Surge can work out for Pretender. He does have to cool down back.
Oh, now they know. Okay. However, Baron already committed right here. 9,000, not the fastest Baron take, but they will be able to find Kino. They peel off immediately. And that is going to be a lot of ultimate spent. Oh my goodness! Look at the angle. Look at the corridor that they found there. Beyond Gaming, they're going to open up, try to get the pickoffs. Rebirth, nearly going to fall here. And with the needlework, Leon is able to do it. And it's Frank Esports running for the hills. They lose 2 quickly, but will they be able to find more? Kino, Shadow Surge, that's going to be, the tag it! They switch from Inji! What a brilliant play as they get the collapse on Pretender and cut him down to size.
Oh, they don't find anyone, but Eminem is going in, trying to save the day!
Oh, I don't think you're going to get it, buddy. It was a nice try, but that is going to be the ace, and cleanly so beyond what fancy footwork they have. Although, I said clean ace, I think he was still alive and all of that, and here he is, in fact. But, yeah, what a huge swing.
That could just be the game.
Am I?
It's 45 seconds on Eminem, and Beyond Gaming are just barreling down the mid lane. That was... I think Frank just used way too much on the turn. They actually expended Meganar plus Glacial Fissure and didn't even catch Kino. That's kind of a really weird application of abilities right there. And they're the ones that need to play counter engage.
They did. This is going to be the last stand hold for Frank Esports as this game just swings on a pendulum once again in favor of Beyond. There's the cleanup. There's the base. And Beyond Gaming snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
I was